Hello, everybody. This is Texas Danny, and I'm going to attempt a short video, hopefully, and hopefully this will work and come out at least somewhat. This is very, very late March 2021. Again, this is the very end of March 2021, and I want to give an advisory here on some things that we have going. Hopefully, this is all going to work, or you're going to be able to see it. Uh, Again, I'd like to thank YouTube for even bothering to let me have a channel. Thank you, YouTube. It's very nice of you, YouTube. This is almost like a public service. So I would like to thank YouTube for Texas Danny saying thank you, YouTube. Now to get to the point. We have interesting things going on with our core systems right now. And because of let's say, our cosmic egg here and all the activities that are going on with it right now, we have some interesting things occurring. Whether you would have put, say, North America somewhere up here, South America, Antarctica, Africa, uh, the Arctic, what used to be Arctica for me, not Antarctica is down here. For me, there used to be an Arctica up here. It doesn't exist anymore. We've got Greenland centering in. Greenland's coming into a position. We got Norway doing quite a bit of activity, like it wants to go surf up. I think they better check their ankles in St. Petersburg for moisture levels. We've got a lot going on there. Yeah, again, these are all for entertainment purposes only. Again, I have no actual real information because I am not physically out about these places. I'm just reporting to you the interpretations of what I see. It's just like if you were to go back towards the past and think about the past. For example, there's Indiana, if you could say this on the map, Indiana, which is a bit different here. It's angled different and everything else like that. And it's funny things that memory does for you. For example, here it says it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1984 or 85, whichever description I saw correctly. If you can tell I'm accurately telling you correctly, for me, it was Indiana Jones versus the Temple of Doom. It was Indiana Jones versus the Temple of Doom, 1984. So that's a kind of a different line description. What I'm going to let you guys know is because of the activities that we're having right now everywhere, this is affecting everything from here in North America, and there's a tremendous amount of activities taking place in North America. There's great concerns with the Gulf of California as the main bulk of the continent continues to move east, and the Gulf of California continues to widen up. We have interesting events taking place in Chihuahua, Mexico, Sonora, Mexico, Central Mexico, and with those amazing crystal caves in Mexico. I wonder what the interactions are like when they hit water. Okay, changes all the way around everywhere. We have Los Angeles, California. I grew up in Los Angeles, California until the mid-1970s, but this is not my Los Angeles, California. It's something else. And Phoenix is changing. The entire Earth is in transition form right now, okay, in representations. And you can go all the way out. You're checking everywhere from the Arctic Circle, from Greenland. Again, mentioning Norway. Very interesting things going on with Norway. You could also like great cities like St. Petersburg. You have we have the Estonia, Lithuania. We have Copenhagen, Denmark. We have Bremen, Germany. We have England, of course. We have Scotland, still busy. We have those activities on Iceland. And all this is being affected because we have a lot going on with changes in Antarctica. Antarctica has become more active, swinging out the Central Islands, Channel Islands further out, along with the Uruguay counterclockwise track. And all the tracks are in motion right now. Now, as I look at these things and I watch them going on, it makes sense. These all are interacting. For example, everything that takes place all over the earth, from places like Shanghai, China, right, to the Marianas Trench, Kyoto, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, New Guinea, New Zealand. Again, these are all having their effects and they're all having their changes. As the Marianas Trench rises above her placements and comes out in her traction, she's pushing up the islands. Hawaii is being moved further towards America, and of course, America is moving. Mexico, we got the Yucatan swinging out, and we have a lot of activity. We've got the Barbados track still swinging out ahead. We have the tremendous activities that are taking place in the Amazon. There is a tremendous amount of water, folks, in South America, of course, and South America is just extremely active with changes. The eastern part of Brazil continues to span out and grow in her rifts as she stretches out towards the Atlantic. Southern South America, I wish you could have seen with my eyes, my memory recall of what Argentina used to be, because there is just huge chunks of Argentina that are gone. But again, we have things moving out with the islands, the plates. Now, everything is representative as being mostly in scale with each other. Like the mileage and everything like that hasn't changed. The status keeps on showing the same thing. Well, my eyes show everything coming together. And what my eyes show me is some interesting things about Africa, to East Africa, to Lake Victoria, the Angola Tract, Kilimanjaro, Somalia. We have the Gulf of Aden. We got the Arabian Sea. We have those activities there. And of course, those impacts are going to have in the Suez, right? We have potentials, amazing potentials of quantum activities in the Giza Plateau because of the increasing water coming in there and the geometric changes, those pyramids, those concentrated symbols of thought, that mathematical construct. We have a lot of activity going on, again, with the Geneva wave, around Geneva, Switzerland, around France, Germany, Italy, Austria, Bosnia, Greece, and Turkey are closing in. And the far eastern side of the Mediterranean is becoming much, much smaller, is starting to be affected. Crete has had mighty changes, and quantum changes to these tracks are now coming in very, very strongly. We have very, very significant, very amazing changes to southern Iran and southern Afghanistan and the central parts of those countries. We have amazing changes coming to India, all of Asia. Of course, there's great activity in northern Russia, Siberia, China, of course. And again, very interesting things. Shanghai, China has moved around 250 to 350 miles out of position from when I first started monitoring somewhere in 2016. Okay, so these activities are all taking place because of what's taking here. What's going on in here is affecting South America, the Arctic, North America, Africa, the Suez, the mantle. Everything is in flush movements. Now, I want to explain everything. This is going to be an adult material subject coming up. So I'm going to give you a long 10-second count before I start any adult material, because I'm going to explain something to you quickly. And reason I mention that adult material, whether it's because of the subject or how I'm going to try to explain something to you, is going to be a little difficult to conceive of. I'm not being nasty or vulgar or stranger lewd with everybody. I'm just going to try to explain to you how I've come to some points of an evaluation process, and this is it. As a male, biological male, who has literally transformed in an anatomy of my conscious memory pattern, right? Let us just take the common sense of our eyes, right? Which are quite something, especially since I don't know exactly what set I've got in me right now. It is what it is. But when we get information to us through light and it's transmitted, of course, it hits the retina and we read it and it goes to the brain and sends us our signals into the brain as to what's happening. Okay, let me try to pull this up again. I may use a huge amount of variety of material. Everyday, ordinary things that I see in my common visual span of area to those particular things that I pay attention in the media, whatever I'm watching, are those things I particularly pull up. Now, as a male, those who are candid and especially with human beings, period, if we understand the basis of our innermost psychology, we're going to understand that we have the base primal impetus for recreation, right? Sexual activity. And so we're stimulated on a constant level with these things. So I deliberately take in these images, a vast array of deep images. And it's a little painful, it's a little hurtful, and I understand that some of you may not understand why I'm doing this, but it goes to the primal id, the deep part of the mind, where I look at that, I shuffle it, then I analyze my base psychology. Why do I do this? What is with anatomy? What's with biology, physiology? What's with the creation myths? What's with everything from, Adam and Eve to how mammals act, territorial status, cultural status, conflicts, that kind of thing like that. I take all that stuff in, and of course it goes in a raw, vulgar way, but in time it's contemplated and used by me for analysis as to what I'm seeing in whole and total. And I intermix that also with everything that I see in the media and in my everyday world. And that's why it's given me, it goes to the primal base id. It gives me a mathematical concept, a form, a function, of status, of the contemplations of the mind, awareness, psyche. Many things go on with this. So what I want to mention that to you is you see all the colors of the rainbow that come in here. They hit your eyes, or anything that your entire being is a sensory organ, of course, if you're not sighted, or your hearing and that kind of thing like that. So in essence, even though I look at myself and say, hey, there is something different, and I'm looking at it right in front of me from what I knew in the past, just like I recalled that memory title that I gave you about earlier, about Indiana, right? Indiana Jones, not Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones versus the Temple of Doom. VS as opposed to AND, a symbol, a line, a recognition pattern. That's what I'm doing, same mentally with the information that I get. And that goes back to the primal. This is kind of gross and vulgar, but it goes like to the symbolism of the volcano going over to the pyramid. We have the raw, primal base symbolism of the myth of the metaphor of the volcano, which could be anything like a phalanx, the human physiology, all over to the construct of a triangle, right? A mathematical construct, a triangle, a physical form in mass and concentration. So you get the raw, unconscious, deep unconscious mind, the id. What do we have? We have the conscious mind, the subconscious, the ego, the superego, and the id, right? And there's a big, huge gap between these 2 points. The raw, natural, unworked elements going into the refined, precise mathematical construct. So this is what I've done with my mind. And for example, bluntly, with pornographic material, everyday visual material, my entire field of reality. And that's how I read even what's happening around us with our today's issues that we have in this culture as of very late March 2021 and those things that are been going on. Again, I want to emphasize that I, in my awareness and my ego, I quantum jumped in June of 2016. Whether I was deceased, the lights got turned off, I don't know what. But the world changed, and there has been a constant change in the reality of my own form. And I recognize that, just like I recognize archetypes. Okay, let's go back here one more time, please, if I may. Just like we see these shapes, that's why when I look at say, hey, yes, I'm misremembering that Baja California is much, much longer than the Baja California I grew up with. It's different in the representation of at least the demographics, the informational feed. Just like Mexico is now smaller. Yucatan is much smaller, much, much further out east. Florida is swinging further east. Texas has plates changing up in the west part of the Texas. The entire western United States of America, Canada, everywhere is in motion and in functions. Also, I want to mention, I wanted to go in the United States Navy in the late 1970s, the first office I went to, right? And they had a big, huge map in the United States Navy office, which was totally open, totally wide open with all the lights on, with absolutely no one in there. And I had more than enough time to spare. I had all day, right? They had the lights on in the United States Navy's office, recruiter's office. The lights were on. The doors were wide open. It's like, hey, like somebody in the Navy said, hey, they'll be back from the head in 5 minutes, or they went out to Wendy's. We had Wendy's back then, believe it or not. They could have went to the drive-in and got some food and come back, right? We had a long time for the wait. No one ever showed in that office. And I watched and looked at for a long time out of boredom and impatience and waiting, and I looked at a map of the world. That is not what I'm seeing, folks. I am seeing an entirely different demonstration. A rough reconfiguration of the demonstration. For example, all your rough basics are there, but they're still not the same. Everything, the Gulf of Mexico would have been bigger. Mexico would have been bigger. America would have been bigger. The whole earth was bigger. The UK was bigger. And we had a lot of issues. The Mediterranean now has shrunk quite a bit. We have a lot of activities and changes in the Sahara. And of course, with all this water that's being pumped in to Giza, and the mathematical function and the prime of the concentrated symbol of mind leads us to amazing possibilities. So just like says Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire, right? And that song, it was we didn't start the fire. One of the key phrases in that song was bridge over River Kwai. For me, it was the bridge over River Kwai. Here it's the bridge on the River Kwai. Bridge on the River Kwai. So there's a code in sequence and changes and words and that kind of thing like that. I am watching and looking at this and reading the tea leaves. I'm taking things which may be totally incorrect and totally false. I don't know if I'm getting accurate information or if that indeed the information's there. Just as like it's an illumination, that's all it could be for me in reality. But we go to a very important point about the base vulgar id to the concentrated mathematical construct mind and the gap that's between them, and the method and the utilization that I use in the input of all the material, my daily life, what I see directly in front of me, printed maps, interactions with people, subjects that I constantly pull up on Google and so forth like that. And it leads me to my analysis. Oh, it also leads me to a request too. Mr. Data, please, if you will, ready Jor-El's crystals for Greenland, active green, if you so will and desire, and its safeties are all full, implement same, please. Okay, so this has been a nice talk with you all. It's a little long, but I want to say thank you. We are moving in all our statuses. We're constantly changing, folks, and things are happening from an ever-changing world. Texas Danny out.